about music. Tonight, I'd actually like to talk about free taco bar. You guys down with talking about free taco bars?
I read your thing on that. Yes.
Well, I know Jay didn't. I figured you did.
Yeah.
I've been
That,
working.
that's what I want to talk about tonight. Yeah, you've been in a warehouse listening to Banda, which is
Are we going to do the album thing or anything?
yeah, but we're gonna do that. Just hold your horses there, simmer down,
And tacos.
it's just a tacos.
We got tacos to talk about.
Tacos take priority.
So tonight's show, just like every other show, is brought to you by DJ Event Planner. DJEventPlanner.com. Have a look at them. In the description of this video, you can check out the website. There are other sponsors as well. Please take the time and have a look at those sponsors. We'd appreciate it. And so would they. So, now, Howie,
Yes.
now is the time
Da-dum,
to
da-da.
get the
Now is-
teasers out of here. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for
In a world. The Boston John's record roundup.
But we're waiting for the theme music here.
I have the music.
And wait,
Bluetooth connected.
it says something. Sorry, something went wrong.
Next week,
Oh,
theme
no. Wow.
Fox and John's record roundup.
Da-da-da-da-da.
What do you got for us this week, John? I know you've been busy, but I know you've got a record for us anyway.
I actually thought of it on the way home because I've been humming songs from this record all week and I don't know where it came from because I haven't heard any songs in a long time from this record. The group would be, I've only ever owned it on cassette. I never had it on vinyl. It was Low End Theory, and the group is called Tribe Called Quest.
Oh, nice.
For some reason,
Yeah.
some reason, Check the Rhyme has been playing in my head, and we probably can all sing the first two stanzas because we all know the words. Crickets. I don't know, Ray. I think I either saw it on TV Raps or BET back in the day. That song got stuck in my head. And then about midway through the song, it would jump into another song on the record, I think, in the video. It would either go to We Got the Jazz or another one.
Was Q-Tip in that band? Yeah.
Q-Tip
Yeah.
was the singer.
And he was the guy who was the rapper on Grooves in the Heart, by the way.
I was going to bring that up.
Oh, sorry.
Later, of course, had a solo career with
Dear
Breather
Lord.
Stuff and all that. But for a starting point, for like smooth hip hop R&B that had a good flow,
Yeah.
that record also featured Scenario, which was the first time Busta Rhymes ever ended up on a major track. There was a lot of good stuff on there, and that's just kind of been influencing my head. I'm gonna say it was probably 90, 91.
Yeah.
Groove hit in what, like 92, 93?
90.
Now, that might have even been prior to that release, because he did that a little break towards the end of the song. That was cute.
Well, the middle part, the B
Sing
section.
about the
Whatever.
groove. Sing it. Yeah, that was him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so such a smooth cat, and of course the Fife, the other kid that was in the band, sadly passed away a year or two ago. I think it was 2020. But worth checking out. That's my Low End Theory hip hop donation to the record roundup.
So it's Low End Theory, Tribe Called Quest.
Tribe Called Quest.
Thank you, John.
Sure, man.
Howie, would you like to go next?
Sure. I went weird as usual.
Yeah.
And I went with a soundtrack from Top Gun Maverick.
Oh,
And Lady Gaga has a hit that's really building up, and it's called Hold My Hand. And I had, not keep this under 2 minutes, I took a deep dive into, I watched a documentary on how they do soundtracks. And this very famous guy called Harold Federmeyer did the soundtrack. He is very famous, but the documentary about how he's watching a monitor that's nothing's coming out. He has to make
soundtrack.
build up, make that suspense, make
Sure.
that, all of the different ways that he would do this. And I found it really fascinating. And in the film, they actually play the whole song, but then they play parts of it as like callbacks. And it's called Hold My Hand by Lady Gaga.
So Harold Federmeyer did Top Gun Maverick too?
Yeah.
Wow. Did anybody?
Harold the Cop.
Yeah, Beverly Hills Cop theme.
Yeah, that was Axel Foley thing. Yeah. So
XLF. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
What I like on that is not only, do they have the Lady Gaga song, but some of the instrumental things would be really good for like a cocktail hour or something.
That's a really good tip.
Because there's no words.
It's topical.
And it's topical.
Popular movie. People know it.
Yeah.
That's from that movie. Yeah.
So that was my pick.
Nice pick.
Yeah.
What do you got for us? Some banda this week, Shay?
No, something different. But just to feed off of Howie's thing, there's a great video of Jan Hammer when he was doing Miami Vice, and they would send him the show with zero music, and he would just sit in front of a monitor with a keyboard and be like, watch it once, then go back and be like, dun, 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 and then send the tapes down to to Michael Mann, and he would just go through and be like, okay. Like, but it's amazing to watch somebody create like that. Like,
yeah, it is.
I'm going back to the 80s to a amazing album. My opinion, it was a great time. 1983. I had the cassette and flew to LA in 85. And the track that stood out then that still does is a track called Kamikaze. The album is called Quick Step Sidekick, and it is Thompson Twins. Now, just to show you, everyone goes to Into the Gap and, King for a Day and the albums that really, Hold Me Now,
right,
and things like that. These are the tracks out of 10 tracks. Here are the tracks. Love on Your Side, hit.
My favorite Thompson Twins song.
Okay, Love on Your Side, Lies.
Really
a little number from 16 Candles, If You Were Here. Judy Do, which is actually a great track. Tears, which is really good. Then we go to side 2, Watching. Amazing song. We Are Detective, Kamikaze, Love Lies Bleeding, and All Fall Out. There's literally not a bad song on it. I don't say that often.
I think it's interesting that you were listening to this on Kamikaze while on an airplane.
No. Listening to Kamikaze on an airplane, because I didn't know that was on the tape. Someone had given me the tape before I left Boston. I'm reading Bret Easton Ellis, Less Than Zero.
Nice. Yeah.
Which the book makes the movie look like it should have been rated G and done by Disney.
Right.
And just thinking this is obviously a mistake. But yeah, Thompson Twins, Quick Step, Sidekick. Great album.
May I make an addendum to my pick? I forgot to mention that Lady Gaga is nominated for an Academy Award for this song. It would be her second Academy Award if she wins.
And she got Shallow, right?
She had Shallow. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think you can credit the night that Mr. Red and I sat in the audience and questioned her skill and talent back in 2008 at the beautiful Atlantic City House of Blues. And she was fourth on the bill of 12 artists?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She was not a headliner. She was not an opener. She was right in the middle.
What you call an unknown. Mm-hmm. Like, I like that poker song, and that Just Dance was pretty cool. That wand thing with the disco stick was...
That was the one, like Love Game. That was the one I actually liked.
Yeah, but I'm like, what's with the stick?
Yeah.
Ride on my disco stick. I know where she's going.
Dig it. Yeah, I dig it. And no one else will. No one's going to buy this, but I like it. Just groovy. I'm the same guy who played Love Shack, I thought that was a crap song and nobody would like it. So. You win some, you lose some. Who knew?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go really kind of similar to Jay, actually. It's kind of funny. We're both going into the 80s. I'm going to pick an artist that it's somebody who everyone knows, but I don't think anybody realizes this guy's catalog until they start listening to it. And I remember going to this 80s revival show in the 90s, I guess it was. Very late 90s. And this was the billing. The headliner was Culture Club.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were two openers. The first opener was Howard Jones. The second opener was Human League. So we're thinking, oh, that's cool. Howard Jones can do his two songs that he has, and then we'll listen to some cool Human League songs. And then Culture Club. Howard Jones opened, and he should have been the headliner. This guy's catalog is amazing. Yeah. And if you don't know, you should know. You should check out a CD called "The Best of Howard Jones." It's chock full of stuff, and I pulled it up on Discogs. I'll just do a real quick screen share here.
I'm gonna write this down.
Howard Jones, "The Best of Howard Jones" came out in 1993. Amazon has it for like $40. I guess it's worth something now. "What Is Love" is my favorite Howard Jones songs. It's really good. New song, that's the popular one. "Things Can Only Get Better's big. Like to Get to Know You Well." That was the song that was in the movie Better Off Dead, John Hughes film.
Yep.
"Life in One Day." "You Know I Love You, Don't You?" "No One Is to Blame." I mean, people forget all of these songs. "Everlasting Love." Check it out. This guy's got a bigger catalog than you think. So that's my pick for the week. The Best of Howard Jones.
That's what I love about this show. You guys are really like increasing my musical knowledge.
Check out YouTube and look up Howard Jones, Nick Kershaw.
Oh, yeah.
They did an acoustic version of "Wouldn't It Be Good?" And let me tell you, it hits you right between the eyes. And you can see how talented Howard Jones is playing. And then here's Nick Kershaw with, to me, his biggest hit, but I know in Europe he had a lot of other hits. But just the way as musicianship goes, we do with them, and they do it acoustically. It's it's one of those tracks.
There's an image I have burned in my head, or a video, I guess, from that show, has Howard Jones sitting down at a grand piano playing "No One Is to Blame," and I had a perfect view of it. The guy is just a wonderful musician. He's a virtuoso, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. He's hella good.
It was a different time back then. I have this talk with people a lot, and it's not getting older. It's just freaking reality. Just listen to the music. There's like key changes, melody changes.
Oh, Howard was a wonderful writer
going on, but they all were doing it. Like, unless they were doing like 3-chord punk, they had these amazing like things going on. Even if and the best part is a lot of them didn't know really what they were doing. Well, look at Nick Rhodes of Duran Duran, and admitted, "I wasn't a keyboard player when the band started."
Played one-handed.
But yet he could do something that would enhance the track, even if it was just like dun 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 dun. Didn't matter. It just made the song that much better. Now you're hearing, a track with some mumbling over it or something else. People just aren't going for that. Let's put out a really intricate piece of music. It's kind of sad.
Well, it's a sign of the times. I mean, punk was a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was very DIY. Anyone can do it. Just get a band, and get on stage and go. We're kind of doing that again, where anybody can do it. It's not like talent's really anything anyone's interested in. It's, I can relate to that person. I could do that too. Seems to be in vogue right now. That's what rap is, essentially, for the most part. Not all of it, but most of rap. You talk to any kid in any high school in Milwaukee, what do you want to grow up to be? Rapper. Can't all be rappers, but they feel like they can because it's attainable. I mean, it's nothing that you can be a rapper. I mean, if you got the right hype. Back then, talent was rewarded, and I feel like that from my point of view anyway, it was amazing to see some of these people perform. I mean, there were so many amazing artists out there, and writers and composers, and the talent got rewarded. The cream rose to the top. It's just different now. It's almost punk now, even in the world of R&B and hip hop.
But I think there was talent then. Like, we lost a great guitar player a couple days ago who's known for punk. But if you talk to people that play guitar, we all thought he was a really good guitar player. This guy, Tom Verlaine from Television.
Right. Oh, right.
Yeah.
But see, that's the difference. It's like, Steve Jones was not a great guitar player with the Pistols, but he went on to become a good writer in the 80s with his solo career. And then his work with Duff McKagan and some other people.
You can say the same thing about Pretenders, Blondie, Clash.
There's a growth to it.
The Police. Yes. Oh my God. I mean, this goes on and on.
We wouldn't buy the 33s. We wouldn't buy the full size record until we got enough of the 45s. Yeah. Be like, oh, it's a hit. Oh, it's another hit. I got a stack of Howard Jones 45s like this, but I don't own a record.
It's relate them. It's about this. But if you listen to the whole, back to that, if you listen to the whole greatest hits on that, you're going to hear some stuff you either forgot that you knew that you know, or stuff that you just like that you'd never heard before. It's so good. And that's not,
I would love to see him and Joe Jackson. I think that would be.
Don't get me started on Joe Jackson.
I think if you had to sit in a theater and the two acts were Howard Jones and Joe Jackson, and they said that's the last concert you could go to, I'd be okay with that.
It's a little much. You gotta.
Oh, I think the heart would explode.
Yeah,
audience would work. Yeah.
I think it's fair to the audience or the artist to do that. I think you got to break that up. It'd be like a Prince Michael Jackson double bill. Who goes on first? Let's flip a coin. And
was it you that? Yeah, it was you, Brian, that turned me on. Joe Jackson, was it Todd Rundgren that he played with on David Letterman?
Yes, while my guitar gently weeps. Yeah,
yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm. But I mean,
Ethel or something like that. It was an act they were doing with a celloist, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys would reach for that stuff. And it's like when I saw Warren Zevon with Timothy B. Schmidt on bass and a drummer. That's all he had. There was no guitar players. There was no nothing. And the night was amazing. It was moving because where there was another instrument, the three guys playing made up for it with their instruments.
Right.
And
no, it's,
I don't think I'm going to go see Beats S anytime soon and go, hey man, we cut out half the band. No, you haven't. It's a DAT tape. We're not dumb. Come on. Like you're going to backing tracks. And I don't even think Howie, you're the sound guy in the room. Did they even have the technology to do backing tracks in the 80s? Was that a thing in live concerts?
No, we didn't. We didn't. I mean, the only thing we would get back then was like cassette tapes, mixtapes. They were always given, some wannabes. Hey, can you play this in between bands? And I'd be like, no.
But did you have DAT technology in a club where you could? So a band couldn't even come to you and go, here's a DAT tape of our background.
That probably came later.
No, that came later.
I don't know when DAT came out. I know
that was like the 90s.
Oh, was it that late? Okay.
Oh, pretty confident. Well, late 80s.
I don't know.
87, like Hysteria. I mean, you couldn't pull that off on stage without something going on.
I saw the 88 tour, John, in Mass at Great Woods. And you know what? They may have had stuff in the background to cover the keys. Yeah. I'll be damned if they weren't all singing.
Oh, they sure were. Yeah.
It sounded different than the album, but it sounded like it was live.
But for songs like Rocket that have all these special effects.
Oh, yeah. You can. That I'm fine with. It's when a band goes on and does vocal backing tracks or guitar solo backing tracks.
Well, if you see the old videos of Queen, when Queen used to go out and play Bohemian, they would stop. Everyone would leave the stage and they'd just play the tape until the guitars would come back. That was like the first knowledge I had. I'm like, oh, they're just going to use a part of the record to fill space because we can't do this live. The technology.
Well, I can tell you, we didn't have that tech at Max's Kansas City, but this whole argument of, they're using a backing track. Well, that's nothing new. I saw the Who, Baba O'Reilly, that.
Oh yeah.
That was recorded. That was a recording they would play, and then the lights would come on and the band would start.
I would imagine Yes was doing that for Fragile, and
yes, they did it too. It's nothing new.
Right.
But I mean, that was to enhance it versus making it for your lack of talent.
Right.
Like bands today, it's like, we can't sing as well, so we'll just, we'll tape out the singing. Like, no.
The Beach Boys did it even before the Who with Good Vibrations because they used the theremin. They could not reproduce it to save their lives. The best guy that they would have on it, they just said, screw it. We're going to play that tape that came out perfect. So what that's the 60s that they're doing backing tracks, so.
But like I said, I don't think they did it as a way of making up for the lack of what they could do on stage. They did it because they either couldn't reproduce it on stage or enhanced it. I think now the big cry of shame, Wasp is on tour. I saw some of their live videos. I'm like, I saw them in 84 with Metallica and Armored Saint when Metallica got canceled out that night. They sounded amazing then. The problem is, I saw the live video from 3 weeks ago. They sound the same. And I'm like, call me cynical, but how in the hell are you holding? Like, it doesn't make sense. We're 40 years later and nothing on stage. And then I started reading that Blackie is famously using a lot of backing tracks for the vocals.
Mhm.
Well, if you're willing to do the harmonies, it's not much of a stretch to go, yeah, when I go to sing, can we have it like synced up where it's almost a click track of we bring in something? So
That's how they do it. It's a click track, and you would have two faders for Blackie. And if he's having a bad night and he can't hit that high note, that's up to the sound guy to push the backing track up.
I know they'll do like sympties, and they'll have tones playing too that'll have different triggers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it's complex and I want to hear it, and sadly now you hear so many live albums aren't live in reality.
Right.
But the experience of, I saw all the bands that I have live albums of, from Frampton to Kiss to Nugent. I saw them play live. I don't think there was a lot of magic in the background, but it sounded amazing, and it was so worth the money, and it was a great experience.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, oh no, it's not what it once was. Like, don't even tell me. Stop punching
Just
holes.
the rolling loop of Cheap Trick's applause loop, just going round and round.
I have
for 45 minutes.
I have a favor to ask.
Yes.
We're going to talk about free taco bars tonight. Okay.
Yes. Tacos.
And here's the favor that I'm asking. When I ask you what your favorite taco is, I'd like you to tell me. Oh, I like a hard shell asada with queso, and it's really good. Please do me a favor and don't segue into, I get it at this restaurant. Actually, it's a taqueria, and it's located here.
Now there's the accent.
A lot of gunshots,
Get that event.
a lot of homeless people, and one thing at a time. Try not to segue for me on that. Just give me a little bit of time.
By the way, I'm doing it again. I'm trying to get no.
Okay.
The mark on the computer that's on that wall. I'm like, God darn it! I got something on my screen, and I'm over here rubbing the screen. It's that stupid gap behind you on the wall, freaking me out again.
So if you could do me that favor, I would appreciate it. I'm not picking on anybody in particular, but if you could do me that favor.
Why are we calling it free taco bar?
We'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I have been a mobile DJ, really a mobile DJ, since 1989. And I started, doing other things, skating rinks and such, but I've been a mobile since 1989. Started doing clubs in about 90. And for the last several years, I've been primarily a mobile DJ. That's, been what I've kind of aspired to do, because the money's there and I like it. It's a good reward. But all of a sudden, 2023, I'm going back to clubs and pubs. It's just coming to me. And we'll get into that a little later. But my first question is, how many of you have worked at one time or another at a pub or a club or an establishment of some kind as a DJ? Howie, I know Howie, as Jay, you all have, right?
Yeah.
Why did you? Okay, who's currently still doing it? John, are you still doing it?
No, not at the moment. Not since 2020. I wasn't in a place.
Okay, so you left because of the pandemic?
Yes. Live entertainment stopped and they closed early.
Okay.
All the food became takeout and there was no bar service.
Sure. How about you, Jay? What made you want to leave the business? Or leave the last in-house residency thing you had?
The last residency I had, I ran into a problem with some of the owners, but that's another entire show and story. But the reality was, the money that I was making, it was not great or even really good. And I just solely to get the experience back,
right,
of going back into a club thing. But even today, you know what? If it's a Saturday or a Friday and I could be doing a wedding,
right,
I'd rather take the wedding.
Well, how long ago was this, Jay?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay. Howie, when's the last time you worked at a bar or a club at a DJ capacity?
20 years ago.
Okay. Why did you decide not to do it anymore?
Because I got a lot more money doing weddings.
Sure. And I think that's kind of the general consensus with all of us. Perhaps not, John. I don't know what, but I got out because the money just wasn't there.
Right.
Yeah, I got out
because the exposure was there, because they got in front of people and you land a gig out of it.
Sure. Well,
it's not winning money, like you said.
There are benefits, which we'll get to.
It's something.
But the money thing, absolutely. Yeah, there are benefits, and we'll talk about that. But I left the place that I kind of had it made at. Right after my stroke. I just didn't feel like I could do it anymore. It was too hard to get there and back. And the money wasn't great. The money was good for a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but it wasn't great for Saturday, Sunday. And it became a 100-mile round trip.
Whoa.
And I lost my little 4-cylinder vehicle because I couldn't shift it anymore. So I didn't have the little gas saver to run back and forth either. I'm driving the Suburban 100-mile round trip for $175, even in snowstorms.
Wow.
Bad weather. It didn't matter. They had to be there. It was part of the deal for them to keep their 5 diamond status as a resort. You had to have entertainment there. So even if nobody was there, you had to be there, available for them to keep what they had. But yeah, money primarily was the reason I left. And before we go any further, John, you mentioned the great exposure to mobile clients at your events, right?
Potential. Because when I started doing that, I was probably in my mid-20s. And the patrons were in their mid-20s. So there was a connection. I was their age. I knew their music. Then I got into my 30s, 35s doing it, and the clientele still basically in their 20s. We keep getting older, but they don't change.
Right.
Actually, you're in your 40s doing it, and they're still in their 20s. And you stay relevant. I like the idea because I got music requests for stuff I wouldn't normally hunt down. And I was making note, like the songs What by Who. I never heard of that. I got to go find that. Then the following week, someone else asked for it. I'm like, oh, look, I'm onto a popular song, and I didn't have to scour the charts for it. A lot of that exposure was, they were like my Spotify, like hearing random Spotify playlist, just coming at me with a lot of stuff.
It absolutely helps keep you sharp. It's
what can you play? You don't have what they want, but what can you play that's or close? So you get a little flexible. But it often led to in my heyday it was basically 5 days a week for almost 5 straight years, and that was nice.
Oh wow!
Like 04, 05.
Wow,
and that's a lot. I mean, that's
your full-time gig at that point.
Yeah, maybe it had to be. I had to stop everything I was doing by about 99 just to keep up with it, because you're up every night till 3 a.m, and that's your lifestyle. And then eventually it scaled back. That place closed after I left. Go figure. And I worked some other places. It was Fridays and Saturdays. So you got back into a 9-to-5 or a management position job, and you only did that on weekends. And it was either you did the Friday, Saturday in the bar, you trained someone to cover you Friday and Saturday in that bar, and then you could go take a side gig or something else.
Right.
Something came up. If that wedding or that birthday party or that bigger paycheck was there. So I had about three or four guys at one point that I could trust, that all use my gear, except for one he had his own. And I could just drop them in, and they knew enough about, mirroring me from being there the nights I was. We know what this place likes. I know what to play if you're not there for 4 hours.
But so I'm going to try to break down a little bit what you said here. The first thing that you talked about was that you did get the leads, which is a nice thing. If you're doing clubs and mobiles at the same time, if there's people there who like you and know your work, and you're able to have a dialogue with the clients, and usually a bar situation allows that more than a club situation would.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, do you do weddings too? The other thing I used to do, it kind of related to that, was that if I had a client that would contact me for a wedding, they'd ask to go see me at a wedding. And instead of saying, no, I can't invite you to an event, what I would say is, look, I wouldn't invite anybody to your event, right? That's not what I do. But how about this? How about I put you on the VIP list at my club? Oh my gosh, I've heard of that place. Yep, you're on the VIP list. Come on down and say hi. And they would come. And it was funny because they never even would listen to anything I did. They would just come up to me and introduce themselves. They said, so do you want a deposit or what? They're like,
you're established at that.
Right.
You're legitimized.
You had them at VIP.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
So, it's like, oh, make sure I wasn't full of crap. And then like, oh, he's real. So, I mean, it was beautiful.
yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for? It was a, qualification, not qualification, qualified you or made you legitimate to them. You know,
You had the authority to make them a VIP.
yeah,
God, he's something.
And I think it's also the fact that you had the gig.
Yeah.
Like, somebody else is, the old expression, it's much easier to get a job when you have a job. Because you could immediately qualify and prove, I am a DJ and I can do a good job for you because this place is invested in me.
Yeah. And, it was downtown. So that's kind of like cool, right? It's not like I'm playing out in the burbs somewhere. I'm playing at this downtown place, this pretty iconic place, really. It's famous in the area. I was telling Stevie, we were in there for the staff party. And I was like, what's really cool? She says, what? I said, there have been 4 generations of Reds at this establishment doing exactly what you're doing right now. It's just, how so? I said, well, I've got a picture of me and your grandfather and your great-grandfather sitting over there having a beer. She says, you're kidding me. I'm like, nope. I brought Grandpa in when he was in town. He wanted to go party, so we went. Wow. He'd be 114 years old today. But I'll find the picture and I'll show it to you. But yeah, the 3 of us, and then here's Stevie, the 4th generation Red, to be in this place. So anyway, I don't even know where that came from. But something else that you mentioned, John, was that it was a great way to stay up to date with the music, try new things. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking today, actually, that when you're doing a wedding, like Jay does all the time, especially when you don't have 6 hours to play at your event, every song means something. It's like the next song, it's all in the next song. You can't blow it. You don't want to take a chance. You want to do the sure thing and make sure it's right. Everybody's happy because you know what you charge them. You know what, if they break it down per song, what it costs. And you want to have a great experience. Where when you're at a bar or a club, you can try stuff.
Yeah. You can experiment. But a short wedding, there's no space to waste. Everything's got to count.
It's not the end of the world. It's totally not a big deal because you got to rotate the floor anyway. You got to clear the floor once in a while. Somebody might come up and ask for something like, I would never have thought to play this. Screw it, let's give it a try. Wow, this is getting a great response. I would have never have thought to play this at a mobile. And then you're at your wedding and you see that group of people sitting at that table. They're like, I got their tune. And you play it and they're like, wow, we've never heard a DJ do this at a wedding. Thanks so much. That was something. I was always a better DJ when I had the club gig too, That
I think it's sharp. It obviously sharpens your skills, but the one thing nobody's mentioned, and I've seen it in the guys I know that are still doing clubs and have been doing them for 20 years, I think you genuinely have to love it.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know that I genuinely ever loved it the way some DJs love it. Like I would get excited about getting new tracks and taking them being like, oh, I'm totally playing this. This is going to kill.
Yeah.
But it was that quick thing because I wasn't raised in the club world of, and if you're not, you tend to run fast into the walls. Like it's 9:05. You're like, all right, I dropped that banger. Damn it. I should have probably waited. Like, you guys did more clubs than I did. So you learned that. But I got
it again. Play it again after 1 a.m.
That was really cool. New crowd. Who cares? Yeah. More than drunk, they don't know. Yeah.
I mean, that's why when people say, how many gigs have you done? And I'm like, somewhere in the 2,000 or 3,000. Like, how? I'm like, because for 7 years, I DJ'd at a minimum of 5 times a week, like every week for 7 years. And then 2 or 3 or 4 on the weekends.
Right.
And,
you got your experience in with it. It's a little different what you did, but
yeah, it is because at dinner cruises, you're dealing with older people. You're dealing with people that spend bigger money. It's less cluttered. They're not always into dancing, but you learn the love songs much easier. Like you learned how to be generational with that. I never was a big like Casey and JoJo fan, but I knew how to pull Casey and JoJo out for the right crowd,
Yeah.
And I think the club people, you have to love doing it because it's a lot of work. Right. I mean, because when you're off at 2 a.m, you're going to have a drink or two. And then it's like, what's everyone doing? Anyone hungry?
Yeah, when you're young,
go
that's
to
what you do. Yeah.
And out here, the bar's open at 6. So we would we'd leave the club at 3, go to Denny's. Now it's like 4:45. Well, you know what? We can get down to the beach. Those bars open at 6. I think I know a guy. He has to be there at 5. Maybe he'll let us in. Next thing you know is it's 9 a.m. and you're like, I have to work tonight, but not till 7. So
let's get lunch.
I have an observation and a question that I'd like to throw out there. Here's my observation. I feel like that when you have, let's say, a regular club or bar gig or semi-regular, every week, every other week, whatever the case might be, I would argue that the stress level between that and a wedding is much lower. And we all know this, but to articulate it's different. This is why I think it's less stress. I was thinking about this. I worked the place for 5 or 6 years. I went in, got to know the manager rather unconventionally one night, and got a job that I showed up to for many, many years. And when I left that job, I was told I was welcome back anytime. Apparently that time was 25 years later, after he died, but whatever. Now, when I think about wedding, every wedding I do, it's a fresh job interview. I got to go in. I got to talk to the boss or whatever. I got to let them think about it, let them evaluate me. They're hiring me for a job they know nothing about. It's tough. Where when you go into something like a club, you don't have to do that every time. They know you, you know them. In fact, I got hired for a pub gig, a brand new pub gig on Friday night, this Friday. And I'm like, okay, what's going on with this? A friend of mine got me the job. Just show up and play at 9 o'clock. Guy's name's Tom. Have fun. No prep.
Wow.
I mean, I just have to make sure I have my equipment together, which I do. I've still got it together from the last gig I did at a pub. But yeah, no stress, man. No like heavy duty prep like you'd have for a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the low stress is nice. The familiarity is nice. I really look forward to showing up at a club. I'm looking forward to Friday because there's no stress involved. Like none. There's no expectation. There's nothing. It's just show up and go.
No pressure. You know enough about music. Whatever's in front of you, I'll figure it out. Pressure.
I'll figure it out. For me,
you guys can't do that. That's scary for a lot of people.
Well, let's pretend I'd done it 3 or 4 times and I kind of knew what was going on. Absolutely no stress at that point, especially if you did it for years on end. Where's the stress?
Well, I think that
get up in time. No,
I think being nervous about, a performance is always good. Like the couple times I've gone into situations been like, oh, I'm going to dial this in. I got this. That's when there's an issue. That's when things start to go sideways on you. Versus if you're genuinely like concerned, and maybe it's not stress, maybe it's just the performance nerves, because you always want to deliver something. I mean, I'm playing on Twitch to 7 people.
Right.
And I'm anxious because I've said out loud, I'm going to do this. And then I feel it's a necessity to deliver on what I promised. Just like if it was a nightclub that said, we're doing a disco night, and I start streaming a 1982 song, and some guy's at the booth going, who's named VSR, dude, it's 1982. What are you doing? This isn't even disco. This isn't Casablanca. No, it's a subsidiary, but
because I'm thinking to myself, why are you up there and I'm not? Because you kind of suck.
Well, see, exactly. And that's when I'm going like this.
So could we at least agree, without getting into that, could we at least agree that a bar or club is considerably less stressful and less prep than a wedding?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys want to talk about taco bars?
Yeah. Where's the free tacos?
Free tacos. Free taco bar.
I'm at a loss on this one.
Now you're not. You think you are, but you're totally not. So when I got out, like I'd said earlier, I was making $175 a night. And all of you, except for John, had said that money was an issue. You could make more to mobile, so why bother with these bars and clubs?
Mhm.
And I hadn't seen a pay raise in a long time, right? Through the years, it was about the same. You know, if you got 200 or over 200, you were lucky back then in my market.
Mm-hmm.
So it was that thing I was interested in pursuing. Wow, this is a lot of work. I got to show up no matter what the weather is and perform for this little bit of money. I could stay home, you know, and save myself for my mobile, my energy, everything else. So I don't want to do this anymore. That was the thing that took me away from it more than anything else was the money. If the money was there, I'd have made the trek through the snow 100 miles. But the money wasn't there. So that's why I left, right? I've heard a lot of people talk about how today there are some markets out there where they feel like that these establishments are only willing to pay them the same amount of money, 150, 200 bucks for an event. Like it's not changing.
Yeah.
I will tell you that I'm getting considerably more than that for the stuff that I'm taking for 2023 in clubs and pubs.
Good.
It's oddly enough worthwhile. And I'm thinking, where did this come from? Hold on a second. We had COVID, and then COVID went away, and all of a sudden the world changed where DJs are making money? Apparently not, because everybody I'm talking to is still making low cash, but I'm making some dough. So, would you like to hear my taco bar theory?
Absolutely. We've been waiting for tacos all night. We're getting hungry.
Right.
So, Jay, you've worked at establishments before that might have had a free taco bar. I mean, maybe they didn't, but it's the type of establishment that would have a free taco bar.
Yeah.
Did they have a free taco
Wings
bar?
on Wednesday.
Okay, did they had that then? Something like
Yeah.
free. Were they good?
As I recall, they actually were. Yeah.
Okay. It's been my experience that whenever something's given away for free, the quality of the product isn't necessarily important.
Nope. It's
What is
a
important?
hot dog.
What is important is that you advertise free taco bar and people say, hey, free tacos, let's go.
I'm hungry and I'll pay $18 for this draft beer.
And and the bar is
I'll put a salmonella.
the bar is hoping since you showed up for tacos,
Yeah,
maybe you'll have a drink or two.
sure.
So there's no incentive to providing like amazing tacos.
No. So
Just
lost
any-
leader.
Any old crap that, I mean, could be like school lunch tacos. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
You didn't promise any great, quality,
Right. Just that it was going to be there and it was free.
but it's still free.
That's free. Yep.
I'm wondering, and I'm not hating on anybody, I'm really not, but I'm wondering if some of these establishments are looking at DJs like free taco bar. On the marquee, they can put live DJ.
Yep. I've seen that.
Show up. We could have a live DJ. They don't have to be good, but they're there and they're alive.
Just once I want to see dead DJ, I would go to that club. Oh my God, they're propping up some dead guy. This I got to see.
Yeah.
A night of
You get my point, though.
It is. It's a lost
You see
leader.
where I'm going with this?
Oh no, because restaurants are doing that out here. What would never have entertainment.
Right.
They're suddenly like taking 2 tables away from the corner and going, that's the dance floor. No, that's the table. That's the floor on the way to the bathroom in the
Right.
kitchen. That's not a dance floor.
But they're advertising. We have the DJ.
Yes.
So come to
we
our
have
place.
karaoke.
Maybe you buy a cocktail.
They have an entertainment license and they're not using it if they don't put somebody in the spot. And a band costs more.
Now, let's just say 10 years ago or 12 years ago, the last time I was really involved with this, a lot of these establishments thought to themselves, you know what, maybe we could get this for a little less. This guy said he would do it for less. And we don't really care what he does. He's a DJ or she's a DJ. That's all that matters. We can still advertise it. It's going to cost us $50 less a night to bring this person, and we can get rid of this other person.
Yep.
And they're going to move on and do mobiles like we did.
Yep.
Mhm.
So, the quality just keeps going down and down and down and down and down until eventually, if you discount something enough, it eventually becomes worthless.
Worthless.
It has no value. I think we may hit that in my
And
market.
who do you think is to blame for that?
Well, it's
Who do you think is to blame for that?
it's you can point fingers, but it's a combination of people who just want to sell themselves short and go out there and new DJs just trying to undercut everybody versus the bars trying to save money. But I have a new theory. It's officially worthless in some establishments, not all, but some. If you're talking about a 25
Right.
establishment, they can only do so much, and I understand that. But if you're talking about a place that you could put people into and keep them, I think finally, I've been in this business long enough to see it come full circle, where all of a sudden some of these establishments are saying, you know what? If we bring a DJ in who actually works with us and understands this is a business and understands how to play to the audience and understands how to rotate a dance floor and keep sound levels good, maybe they're worth a little more than the free taco bar DJ. I think it's finally happened here, and it's cool.
I think the two glaring points that need to be underlined is you can't throw a rock without hitting a former bar club DJ who was undercut by a 21-year-old who wanted half the money, a $50 bar tab to impress some girl he goes to school with.
Of course.
Driving his daddy's Beamer, and he doesn't have to worry about day fees. That's nasty. The other one is, as a former restaurant club manager, you're giving way too much credit to managers in this world who are stopping to actually figure out the right approach.
Exactly.
If I get the
DJ. No, I'm not giving anybody credit.
Yeah, no, don't, because they don't think that way.
They obviously don't, because they read this.
How much? $150. You're hired.
The free taco bar happened, so obviously, no. But there's some places out there who are starting to see the big picture.
They need to see the value and understand one simple concept. And the concept is, as your audience gets older, they traditionally have two things. One, more money. And two, much less of an attitude towards, let's go to the next place tonight. They're going from your place to home. The only question is, right. But the only question is, how long do you want to keep them?
Yeah.
So if if you're like, hey, I do swearing hip hop. Nah. Hey, I'm doing yacht on a Wednesday. You know what?
Right.
I've got an audience of 40 and 50-year-olds who would stay till 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock on a Thursday or a Wednesday and love to hear some yacht rock. That's a good fit. This is perfect. Because then I think it's the DJ's job to sell the manager on, hey, why don't you give me a list of specials, upcoming events? I'd like to break things and make these announcements.
Oh, yeah.
I'd also like to know what the bar staff's name is so I can shout them out. Do you have any drink specials tonight? What do you have going on? What time is brunch this week? Like, you become a member of the team versus just some snotty-nosed kid who's in there going like, I'm going to play the new 50 Cent track.
I recently worked at a major corporation. I won't mention any names, but I recently did work for them that had several different departments and several different subsidiaries of this company. It blew my mind that they were not communicating with each other. I couldn't believe it. I'm talking about a multi-million-dollar company, and this department isn't talking to this department? Why? Can you imagine walking into an establishment where all the departments are talking and on the same page?
It's rare.
But you can make it happen.
You know, everything that you guys just said reminds me of an episode of Bar Rescue. Have you ever watched that?
I've never watched it, but I've heard about it.
The guy comes in and he wants everybody to work as a team, and they go, yeah, at night we have a DJ. And so he sneaks in, listen, goes, listen, you need to spend money to make money. You're not getting the turnover. He's yelling at, he goes, you need a good DJ that knows how to turn over a crowd so that they go and buy your drinks. And I was like, I think I've heard that from BS before. I'm like, oh,
well, I mean, look at the proof in the pudding. How much does Tiesto get? $100,000 to play at Hakkasan?
Well, that's different.
No, but follow me real quick. They give him $100,000. Why? Because they can make more than that night because he's there.
It's a business.
It's my point. They gambled on our drink price, tickets, everything else. We can return revenue. and still pay that. So if you go to a little local mom and pop joint and say, you know what, $500 on a Wednesday might sound like a lot of money, but if you've got these specials going on and these pitchers and these drinks and you're trying to move this wine and I'm announcing it and you sell 10 bottles, you paid for me to be here.
Let me break it down.
Wait a second, that works.
Let me break it down into a real simple thing I think that anybody can absorb and kind of understand. When you get hired to DJ a wedding, it's an emotional purchase. They're not making any money off of you coming to their wedding. They're not. Right. They're paying whatever you're charging. Mm-hmm. They could save money going with a DJ doesn't charge as much, but ultimately, no matter who they hire, they're paying for entertainment. Like buying a movie ticket. You don't get paid to go to the movies unless you're a critic, right? So it's an emotional purchase. When the right bar club manager hires you, it's a business decision.
Right.
It should be a business decision. The club and bar you want to work at, that manager should be looking at this as a business decision. It's about making the establishment money. And the more you can make that bar or club, or the better you can make everybody's lives, the more valuable you are as a DJ.
Try telling the manager, do you ever want to be the GM? Or maybe an owner?
Oh, the assistant.
Yeah, of course. Why? I don't know, because if you hire me and we turn a profit and the numbers go up, isn't like when I was the GM, that's how I got there. Yeah. I made critical decisions that brought revenue to the bottom line because that's all my boss cared about. He didn't care what I spent. He cared what I made. Right. If I spent $1 million of his money, but I made him 5, guess what? He would have written the check for the $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. Yeah, my boss. Yeah, no, that's true. Just spend it because you have to make it at this percentage. Yeah. Don't look at $500 or $1,000 for a DJ and go, well, what did I sell that day? Look at it as, what can I sell? What will I sell? Mm-hmm. What new opportunities am I opening up? And we haven't even scratched the surface of, here's my social media channels. I notice your restaurant has 35 followers. I have 4,000. Well, yeah, 4,000 that I'm going to be here. I'm just saying, you can start leveraging who you are. I'm going to offer this to our fans. If you want to say, you know me and BSR, you could find yourself hosting a Legs and Eggs special somewhere in Rhode Island on a Saturday morning, if you're lucky.
So I have personally never done that. I have never marqueed myself. I've had places do it, but I don't know if anybody cares. My thing has always been, I'm going to work with what is here. I don't want to be a promoter. I want to be a DJ. You bring him in and I'll keep him here best I can. Yeah. And I'll rotate him around best.
Simple arrangement.
Right. That's the capacity that I've always worked at. Now, if you are a person who, social media, I mean, God, people are so savvy with this. Of course, you could bring people into an establishment. It's easier now than it ever was. Not physically handing out flyers.
You bring in 5 people that run $100 tab. You've paid what you paid me. I mean, come on. Why do people come to your bar now? You what? Be the ballsy DJ that asks the GM or whoever stand in the middle of the place and look around and go, why do people come here now? We have really good food. We have decent service, this and that. That's it? Because I can get that anywhere.
See, that's the interesting thing about the place, the Bull Safe House. It's been around longer than I've been alive.
Gay bars last forever, Brian. You act like it's surprising. I mean, this sort of S&M joint you're working at now after years, I think you got to look at it as, hey.
My point is that they have the crowd. Now they need somebody to come in there and keep them.
Right. Yeah. Have you gone to check the other DJs that are already working there?
No, because they haven't had any other DJs there since. They don't have DJs in January or February because it's so slow now. So I was called a few nights before New Year's. I did New Year's. I was called to do the staff party. I did the staff party. No other DJ has played there since.
Oh, wow.
So I go into rotation in March, the beginning of March.
Oh, okay.
I'm on rotation with everybody else. So I haven't seen anybody, nor do I know anyone.
Valentine's Day, they couldn't do like a little love song aspect in the background?
I don't know.
Are they even open then?
Yeah, they're open. 6 nights a week, I guess. But no, they got nothing. So, yeah, nothing happens again.
All right, Monday night DSR's trivia. First question, Prince.
Yeah.
That was nice.
That this place. Nobody. It was me.
Jay, I want to tell you that I know you tried your damnedest to stick to my request, and thank you for that. Thank you. I know you tried, and
there.
you did a pretty good job.
I was there. I was swerving.
Yes.
Hey, got things to say. Got to get them out.
I want you to talk. I just had to. I wanted to get out.
Social media, got stuff running all the time right here. Wheels are spinning.
So I guess what I really wanted to kind of just say, and it's a weird thing that this has happened.
Look at that squirrel.
I know it's coming to me. I don't know why it is. Well, I say that, but I think I do know why it is, because I think they're finally ready for a pro. They're paying for a pro. I'm not going in there for free. And no, I'm not going to stop doing mobiles, but I'm going to incorporate this into my repertoire. Yeah, I want to be the guy that you could bring into your establishment. I'm not working 50-person pubs. Bring me in.
How many nights are you going to be spinning?
Pardon?
How many nights are you going to be spinning a week?
Oh, probably 1, maybe 2.
Oh, okay.
It's usually weekends here. Nothing's popped up during the week yet. I'm not looking for it. And I haven't looked for anything. I mean, what comes on like
House Wednesdays or something. I bet you could sell that, Brian.
Oh yeah, in Milwaukee, probably. Yeah.
That's how it starts.
The people down there that are older that don't want to go out till 2 a.m.
I always thought an old folks night would be cool. Literally an old folks night where it was like no kids. Like you got to be at least 30 years old to get into this place.
Yeah,
kind of thing. I thought they're doing it. They're doing it like in DC. Eric Washington, DJ Wash, he does a grown folks. They call it grown folks night, primarily in the Black community, where they're doing R&B, soul, step-in music. It's not hip hop. It's none of that, and it's very successful.
Doing go-go stuff there.
Yeah,
in Washington. Yeah,
absolutely. And EU to butt is the go-go.
I know what I'm doing. I'm a DJ.
Yeah.
I don't. I hope that this show was somewhat coherent. I think that we there was a point to it somewhere. I think
we've learned a lot about music. We've learned you have a very high opinion of yourself when it comes to back into the
I do.
Just saying.
Yeah, we all want to have some tacos tomorrow now. You made us all.
Yeah, and everyone got hungry for tacos only to realize you started telling the story. I'm like, legs and eggs. We're going to the Foxy Lady.
I kick back some Ortega taco sauce or something this week.
I just never imagined that in Milwaukee that a club, let alone a pub, would be an economically viable option for me. And it's surprising that it is. And I just had to try to figure out why it is and why I'm getting the call. Why they're not calling some other guy, they're calling me. I'm a disabled almost 52-year-old guy.
They get ADA money out of you?
That's it.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
they're getting that ADA angle.
You're gonna work the 2 days and you're gonna train
tax break because I'm a cripple.
Yeah, that's fine, break.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week.